A 13-7 win for the side of TSM on that first map of Lotus. Welcome back, everybody, to VALORANT Challengers North America, where you guys called it in the cast. History repeats itself between these two teams on Lotus. It was the exact same score that we saw in the mid-season cup. And Lemon, I just think it was the TSM that took advantage of winning enough rounds on the defensive side and even changing the story of this map as we've known.
Yeah, it's just, when you play with this Neon, you have to lead. Obviously, you have to go and frag. And I felt like that's exactly what TSM did. And I think that first time out was turned the tables for this team. I don't know what it was, but they needed to calm down and get a smart type of confidence, not just run in and overheat, overthink, because that's what they were sort of doing against YFP, who were kind of playing these mind games, selling fakes, and TSM just started trusting in each other and fragging way better in these duels.
It really felt like after that timeout that both the teams completely swapped personalities. It was YFP after TSM's timeout, and even after their own timeout, felt like they were the team overheating and going for these really kind of silly, emotive plays.
It's really weird because it's a YFP that only gets one round on the attacking side of Lotus. That doesn't ever happen, honestly. If anything, it might be only one round on the defensive side, especially for these teams that are running the Neon composition that you know is going to go aggressive, is going to hit, is going to go for that aggression on the A side, on the C side towards Mount. You know how they're going to play out because you see Penny and Sim running the same agent, but it's just it seems to me like a YFP that got a little too confident, too carried away on the first half when they got those 5 rounds in a row, and then they couldn't recover at all when TSM started actually playing their own game. So you get to see the mind games between the two. We talked about it towards the beginning, Lemon, the confidence and what was going on in social media when they were talking to each other. But when it comes to the actual game, TSM right now has the upper hand.
Yeah, and a lot of rounds came down to the duel of the egos too, of just buying all the way down to 0 and using ults in 1v2s and ults in 1v1 sometimes, and it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if YFP were that's why they went on that kind of hot streak in that first half, was because TSM were buying up and then losing and then having to scale back and try to pull off thrifties, which wasn't always going to happen. But Sim, he's the guy to watch. Obvious MVP for me out of TSM. So many first bloods, and just in general, TSM had a lot of first kills just on the defensive side. And TSM, it's Sim the Neon. You live and die by him.
Yeah, I want to give major props to Seven and a Proto too. In those clutch, kind of ego plays that we had seen a lot of throughout that first map. It was really Sem and a Proto that were the big difference makers in winning out almost all of those fights exclusively. A Proto even retaking on their defense. I think he got a 1v4 to shut down the entirety of YFP. It's not only just the individual plays that we had seen from each member of TSM that worked well. It really felt like there was a lot of cohesion from TSM as a whole over YFP, both on what the agents were and just the team operating together as a team.
And also talking about one of the players that I always like to see on Gecko, Seven was amazing. And I feel like it's the best Gecko that we have in Challengers. Is so good on the Gecko, really understands the timings, which is not an easy thing to do when we're running these Neon compositions. You're trying to keep up with the flashes, the way that you're going to combine this utility. And it seems like TSM did to perfection, especially on that second half, where it was going down to the defense and they were winning round after round with the aggression that they were playing with. Now, in the second map of Haven, Keg, you talked about it. We haven't seen it actually for TSM at all. What do you think they're going to run?
That is a fantastic question, Dryad. To be honest, I don't think any of us can predict it. The last time we had seen TSM play this map in any capacity at all was up against Turtle Troop. Not Dark Zero Turtle Troop. I'm talking Rossi, Governor, Adder, Dazzle, and Weeded Type B Turtle Troop from last May. So half of those players have gone on to Tier 1. They're way out across the world in different places, already fighting away, and the meta has changed so much since then that, look, they could pull a sad. They could bring out the ISO, Deadlock, whatever combo and just catch YFP off guard. Well, you know what? I want to see it. It'd be awesome.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking
give me the wackiest thing possible.
I think with Sim, either a Neon or a Jet, I'm more than okay with Lemon.
Yeah, I think just sticking to, I guess the fact that TSM haven't played this tells me they got some wacky stuff going on. So, and especially you go away from Bind. So are they overthinking this? I don't know. I think you could easily just stick to your normal Breach, Sova. Of course, a Proto always plays the Cypher. But YFP are very comfortable on this. And we were kind of thinking YFP were even going to take the first map just based on how they beat Oxygen on Lotus and how strong they were on Lotus. Now I'm going to throw all my ideas out the window because YFP don't look the same.
I mean,
I feel like when you get these kind of things though, and it's just a map where you should win your favorite, like we saw for YFP, everything is going according to plan. And I feel like Keg, you do get carried away of, wait, we're taking this in the defense, we can close it out, and then it just doesn't go. It doesn't work like that.
We've listed a lot of differences between TSM and YFP and how TSM was able to take the first map. But one thing to consider too is that Lotus and Haven are both the only 3-site maps in the game. A Lotus can be a really great IGL paradise for a lot of teams, but Haven's been around longer than any other map in the game. Even with that gap of about a year of it being gone, it's still an IGL's paradise. And if TSM has that macro read on YFP over the first 3-site map, they're going to have to pull out something amazing to win out the second one too.
To me, I don't know if it's going to be a 2-0, but I'm going to lean on it. I'm going to say it's a 2-0 for TSM. I think they look amazing. I'm curious on something that I talked about, what 7 is going to be playing on this map, especially because we've seen a lot of the flexibility this team has. Also, especially because a lot of them are able to play those laid-back agents like a Viper or the Sentinels that we've seen a bunch of times with the Killjoy and the Cypher. So they're always all able to play this flow style, but that's not what they like to do, Lemon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like even scaling back to see what happened with TSM like a year ago when they played this, and like 7 was on Killjoy. So now I'm just going to not even look at that match at all because this is going to be brand new. And I'm excited to get into this, and I'm hoping this break. I don't want a 2-0. Like, I really want this beef to go the distance.
Me too.
It could for sure. Let's jump into the Zippo Agents Select. Let's find out if we're right about some of these predictions for the agents of TSM, or if it's going to be something completely different, something unexpected. And TSM are actually going to run that standard composition, but with the Neon instead. So Sim is going to continue to play this agent that we saw in map 1. That was actually the MVP. Everything looks good and standard on the other side according to YFP. Let's see, though, if TSM can take this too.
All right, maybe we're not going to Wackyville here with either one of these teams. The Neon is definitely going to be interesting, but one thing that you're losing with the Neon over the Jet is a lot of verticality. That means the KJ setup from Thief is going to find a lot more viability than it would, say, a Jet who could shoot out the turret and updraft above all the nanoswarms.
But then the Killjoy is less flexible because you have to play around the util. So is Thief going to want to just perma be on the A site, like the most enclosed site, and just really maximize your control that one area so the rest of your team can only worry about the rest? While as a Proto on the Cypher, he could switch it up. He could solo hold C. He could go over to A. He could really do whatever he wants. And I think that's why a lot of people prefer the Cypher these days.
And that's going to flow back over to what happened with map number 1, where YFP's info gathering was super reactive, especially when the Fade didn't find the maximum impact off of that Haunt or even the Prowlers. That means now that Sova is going to have to work a double time to make sure they can be on the offensive and proactive with those recon bolts and owl drones to make sure they're not caught off guard by TSM, even on their defense.
And the last time we actually watched a YFP against M80, yeah, they lost Haven, but they also had Thief on Cypher. So the Killjoy is a different look than last week, and no one's going to hate it. And you've already talked about its interaction against the Neon, and now TSM have a stack towards A going on.
Revealing area.
Early, supposed default recon bolt out towards B main to see if there's an aggressive contact push, but nope, that'll be outside A instead. Okay, Thief, a very good start now. Smoke's removed.
Thief did it. He's like, I'm just lurking. What are y'all doing here? I didn't invite you. And he just went and re-peeked, which is crazy for Thief, but wasn't sure how many more were around that corner. And once Thief called, okay, the whole squad was stacked at A. That gave free reign for YFP to macro on the other side of the map, get the plant, and a great lock-in from Penny. Traded 1-for-1, 3v3 on the post plant. Cages come up, and that allows TSM to try and encroach on the sides. But Jake has this downloaded. He's held that corner perfectly and can play through C long for the spike. 7 knows he just saw the shock bolt. Doesn't know if someone could be in garage or behind. He's really just screwed either way. Great pistol out of YFP.
Yeah, that was a great round. Thief getting that opening pick, making sure that smokes weren't available for any other point in the round was such a huge opener. But the fact, too, that YFP, Thief specifically, pushed back in towards A, found more contact, told the team, hey, this is where the majority of the team is. Let's push into C and take a lot of that control back for the retake. Really well played from the team. If they can continue to act like this, YFP with this build-up round, they can find so much impact in the early attack. But that's also where they were most confident on Lotus.
Now YFP able to gather a couple guns, and especially a Vandal from Penny. Where TSM, they tried to be aggressive at A and got punished. And speaking of that, Sim is dancing around with the shotgun behind them, and YFP are going to continue to track their way into A. Penny dashing in, flashed up as TSM, and YFP will capitalize, and now there's a paranoia from YFP. TSM are just getting peeled back one by one, leaving Sim to clean up the pieces.
Oh, okay. Wow. No, Sim is playing those so wildly, and well, the defense Neon, this is what you need to do. You can't really play super dialed back with a defensive Neon. You really need to push up and be, again, super proactive against a team like YFP. And Sim's been doing a pretty good job changing up where they want to start at the beginning of the round, and that should stall YFP for just a few vital seconds early on. But now, full rifle round in play. TSM's got to worry about their economy just a little bit more into this next round. I'm not expecting Sim to play as aggressive as he was on a lower buy. He's going to be the one to solo hold B instead. Actually, no, with the help of GMD. YFP's taking this slowly, too. I have no idea about the Cypher util back of C just yet. Penny. Updraft's available. Not set up for the anti-jet with those Cypher trips.
And Physic is not there to help clear those Cypher trips, so Penny just gonna risk it, go in one at a time. And once Thief was blocked off of A, they just focused on mid control. And would there be anyone coming through garage? And that's a great pickup with TSM's retake lacking their Neon. And also a Proto at low health. The KJ util from YFP is good stall at the top of site as the rest of YFP clear the site for trips. GMD's double kill gives TSM a leg up, and it gives them a chance to strike back at YFP, who are now smoked off the spike. Physic and Thief, though, C could be halfway. They don't know, so they're keeping their eyes on it, and Thief almost kept the round alive, but did not buy enough time. TSM will take the bonus.
I mean, right away, Thief's comfortability on this map is looking so much more than Lotus. But TSM finally getting this retake, very vital. Not a lot of bodies lost, not a lot of guns lost on top of that, too. Means that they can keep this economy cycle alive going to these next few rounds with YFP buying up. Their ults are looking great, too, from YFP's side. They're close to getting KJ ult. They're very close to Penny getting the Blade Storm, which would be good if there's a potential eco round soon to be. But really comes down to the ult cycling of these next few rounds for both teams to really determine how this attack half can go for YFP's side.
And YFP were really good at killing those ults on Lotus when it came to the first half. So YFP just have to react to the information like they did on Pistol, play their own game if they get given nothing. Don't overthink, don't overdo. YFP have no eyes on C long, except it will be Jake that could be catching Sim. Meanwhile, the drone will go and check out B.
TSM was overthinking their early half on Lotus so much before. Definitely not overthinking it this time.
There.
Not much util from Physic, but Jake, the patience pays off, holding that corner from the shadows from Jake. Jake checking out C, not going for it, but realizing Poised is there. So if you go through C long, you have to deal with flashes, a fault line, whatnot. YFP, well, might as well go to the opposite side, where would you expect a Cypher to be set up at C, or Are they going to gamble that a Proto isn't at A? So YFP are going to make their way there. There's a lot of cages standing in their way, so there's some util to deal with. Jake will teleport forward and even put a smoke at short. Now the spike can't even be safely planted with Poise fault lining into them. TSM are in heaven and YFP don't have it smoked off. So YFP got a little bit caught off guard. Penny needs to go big here. Already picked up one. It's trying to get a crossfire going with the people in heaven, but YFP, they're so stoic in their position, but a Proto, he's clutched and turned around. Game is from Thor, and just like that, the 4K to save TSM.
I was ready to sing the praises of YFP and how their double entry, the verticality to deny a Proto's utility was so smart. But a Proto is just a human cipher, like unbelievable taking these 1v1s. Now, not only are you afraid of his utility, you really gotta make sure you trade him out. These 1v1s is not something you want to go up against, no matter how dominant you think a YFP round can be. Timeout called early again from YFP. I like this call again. Hopefully now this isn't necessarily a strat change, it's just to calm the nerves after what should have been a very winnable round for YFP's end.
Yeah, YFP got delayed so much from the cages from a Proto, the trip setup, and just clearing every angle that by the time YFP did that, TSM had a couple people in heaven. Then Penny was trying to watch the corner where TSM were entering through back main. And it came down to those duels where YFP did a pretty good job once they, even though they got their first person caught off guard by the person from TSM that climbed into heaven, YFP demolished the rest of TSM once YFP had that information. But this is not the first time a Proto has gotten, like, has been the miracle worker for TSM. YFP got to deal with that.
I mean, if we put strats aside, right, YFP played that round pretty well. I love the fake that Jake had on C. It forced everyone from TSM to start rotating over, expecting that split push. But TSM, one of the best things they've been able to do this series is have these hero moments that paid off in dividends. A Proto, twice now. We have to keep like a tally counter now, I guess. Sim, 7 have all had shining moments in the series. And you can't strategically prepare for that.
Quick push from YFP through garage. Already spotting, I think, someone running around, or at least hearing it. You see that Penny's just tweaking, trying to find where this Cypher util is. Is there any defenders on C? But it's the Rolling Thunder retake from TSM, and a Proto will lead that charge, forcing YFP into C main, and they're smoked off. YFP just barely skipping through garage with the neural theft. A Proto and friends from TSM know exactly where YFP are, which thankfully for YFP, they didn't have the spike planted, so they could just go somewhere else.
Oh, this is tough. I'm really hoping Thief does not dedicate lockdown here. They're already down a body. They shouldn't have to, but we've seen panic ults from YFP before.
Jake versus Poise, headshots, and Jake tried to dance, but he gets put to rest. And even despite YFP pulling the trigger on going to the opposite side of the map, TSM meet them halfway and cut them down. It's insane how much TSM look good on this map as well.
Yeah, the awareness from TSM has been stellar on this defense. They're acutely aware that YFP don't like to just funnel push into sites. They love to go for split pushes, however big they may be. Seven's recognition of the smoke down on B, spraying through it, finding contact outside of that B main lurk, which should have been hidden from YFP, was great recognition from him and from them and the team. But now you have 3 ults to worry about from both sides. Penny will definitely use Blade Storm into this round, but a deep ult in play to whittle down the numbers of TSM? It's hard to tell whether or not this will be a good strat for YFP. They'll have to just wait for the contact. Sim, always the first to do that. Jakey acutely aware it's usually C, but that's an op.
I like that the turret, great first pick from Jake, and he's held at C long, and Sim, this is the second time now he's been punished. Obviously, he's changing up what round he extends that way. But YFP had a turret also in courtyard just to see if, where was Sim gonna early push from? Was it gonna be C long? Was it gonna be from mid? And YFP now react. They've weakened TSM. They head into C. Poise. Well, you have a flash, he'll have an aftershock, and he'd rather wait for reinforcements.
Will is so close to Rolling Thunder as well. Goes for the plant, will be 2 off. Hunter's Fury delayed.
Hunter's Fury, YFP, dip dive and dodge, and Penny just crosses deep into the site. Takes one for the road. Thief extending in to the double doors into garage to find that pig. Now TSM worry about their flank, and the Proto just wants to go to the next round.
Really curious to see how Sim plays out this next round too. They found a lot of value pushing up in these early rounds, but now members of YFP are very well aware that one of these lanes should be the Neon domain early on, and shutting that down was something that TSM and actually YFP both had to adjust to on their defense. Operator in Penny's hands now, given from Sim. Does not need to invest too much. That's going to help keep the economy quite afloat for YFP side. A fast push towards A could very well be a lockdown setup. TSM looking to play to deny that specifically.
Right, the recon. They get pinged. TSM out of line of sight. YFP, oh, so patient with the op. Penny, we didn't get to see too much action from YFP. It was a lot of TSM, and a lot of those first bloods on defense came from that op in the hands of Sim. Now YFP, now they have money to work with. Get to see some magic happen on their end, and a lockdown to get control of the B side. TSM are gonna fight through this lockdown, and Sim gets punished yet again. YFP are so good at stalling out Sim.
Plant goes down. Very spread out here. Look at the money from Poise and a Proto. Not a lot. Call has been made to save already. This leads me to think that there will be a timeout after this round for TSM. Definitely have to deal with Sim some way or another. Find a way to keep him a little bit more on a leash just in case. And that's a tough call to make too. Because, you know, you look at it surface level, it's like, oh, the Neon. Silly them. Pushing up, taking fights. But when you're a defensive Neon, like, what else are you gonna do? Your utility is not designed for you to take these very slow fights and allow the enemy team to push into you. You have to be proactive. But now TSM's getting shut down by that every single time.
And Sim is trying different things.
Yeah.
Maybe just going through C-Long, going through mid. A's been shut down because Penny had the op and picked off 2 coming from A. So it's TSM are throwing everything at YFP, and YFP have only hit home runs, at least when TSM are the ones to place their pawns down first. So you love to see YFP have a more reinvigorated offense, though, compared to how Lotus went.
Thankfully, though, we don't have a mercy rule just yet. 3 and 4, though. 1 score ahead from YFP's end.
Right there.
I like this trip setup from a Proto. Rather than playing anti-jet, they're looking to play anti-split push. Very interesting trips, designed to be more post-plant, anti-push, I suppose. I really want to see who falls into that one directly on C site. What's it leading up to? Could be Sim with that ult. Imagine if that hit.
A Proto's ducking Kian. He manages to keep his hat too, but spawning that the op is mid. They'll be close to C as well. TSM may just let them have it and play for retakes, especially with GMD as from the shadows. He could even go towards the attacker's spawn and try to pincer YFP. There's a lot of options for TSM, but now time is on the clock.
Rolling Thunder, overdrive out, ult upon ults. No one could see a dang thing on site.
YFP managed to get out too, and they're all at C-Long with the op from Penny, who hasn't missed yet. The recon bolt, though. TSM have info. It's all about coordinating. They have no util besides the shock bolts, and now that Poise is gone, this retake is looking rough. TSM just have to swing together. They'll try to get a different position based on the smoke, and can't get it halfway either with just the barrage of bullets. GMD tries to go for a play, flanking around, but read by YFP, who'll take now a 3rd offensive round in the row.
I have to say, I'm really surprised TSM didn't go for that early of a timeout, but that would be a big risk, even into this round, going for a timeout. YFP, they'll have time to talk too. They can only just reinforce from there the things that they are doing right. And TSM, we talked about Sim, right? Having to change that pace. They're 2 and 8. They definitely changed their pace last round, but the thing is, they were still the opening death in the post plant. This is tough to find that value, and probably part of the reason why YFP is choosing to go for a much more traditional comp. Bringing out the Neon has not found the benefits that we were expecting to see just yet. The fast dashes, the early shots, the contact plays, every single one has been shut down immediately. And this traditional comp with Penny, even with the anti-jet trip that we had seen finally brought out on C-Site, was not into play at all. Everything TSM is doing has been shut down on a big picture scale from YFP. This needs to be a big strategic change from the team, or they're not going to get any more defensive rounds.
Well, I believe in this TSM timeout because they mounted a huge comeback on Lotus.
Very true.
Once they took the time to talk through their mistakes, they are very quick to adapt, and they're a team that a lot of people underestimate. So this is TSM's map pick, but YFP have played now 2 weeks in a row on this map where they've looked very good. TSM kind of went for a big risk to go to a map they haven't really practiced in an official setting.
Yeah, and that's why I was expecting TSM's comp to be a little bit more wacky. We saw Sad just a few weeks ago bring out so much wild things, but even then that didn't really find a lot of impact. Oh, Sim. Oh, no.
Jake is behind over at A. Is he going through heaven? Yes, he is, and he almost caught Sim. Now Jake's position is revealed, and he didn't even get a kill, and he can't get out. 7 clocks 2. And TSM with the 1-man advantage have closed off A. At least YFP get out with the spike.
That's true, barely. I like that play from Jakey, though. Go all the way back heaven, try to go for the mini flank. Thief. Unbelievable positioning here. A seaside take for sure from YFP. There'll be no information at all about that cross from A to B. But all the way back in spawn, Thief is assuredly good for 1.
Jumping in,
Huge.
Thief was ready with a welcoming hug, but well, YFP managed to plant so they could focus on where the retake is coming from, and Thief is, well, he's handling business. GMD doesn't want that business. 16 HP, great teleport. Put himself in a position where he could punish YFP desperate for kills or over eager for them. Nonetheless, GMD would be happy to save this weapon if he can.
Just keeping that eco alive is going to be so important for TSM. Falling into the same boat as YFP. Except instead of YFP, like they did on Lotus, play very silly, TSM, they are changing up the strats every round, but they are just getting countered immediately by YFP. To me, it really sparks that difference, right? That Haven's been around since the dawn of Valorant time. While Lotus is still somewhat new, it really feels like there's a lot more comfortability from YFP's end on this map still.
Just Thief being in this position to get through double doors, to be behind, to be in a crossfire, sort of backstab position to catch TSM's retake. YFP are just really impressing me right now, and to no surprise, where we've seen what they've been able to do on this map before. We've seen what Penny can do on the op too, and he was depending on Jake here to watch A long. The first pick happened in mid, and YFP would love to keep this up. They're gonna leave it behind though and get ready to cross this smoke together, because they're not gonna try not let TSM get out with their lives, but TSM did escape.
Poised. Crossfire, trade potential here. The weaponry, not great.
Oh, but Sim's not in a position to trade that. So that's awkward. Now he just has to solo hold the site and hope GMD and a Proto can get there in time, and looks like YFP aren't really pressing the issue. They get kills. They know they're in a 3v3, but they just think there's a setup in heaven. They have to go and re-clear this. YFP do a little too much to deal with it, and TSM's retake comes at the perfect moment. 3 for GMD.
Great disassembly from TSM over YFP. At this point, TSM are recognizing what the big win conditions are to remove YFP's rounds. Get rid of Thief as soon as humanly possible, make sure they can't worm their way past any of the Cypher util, which, up until that last round, has been playing super close to their chests on a site. That means C, B, any of the lanes in between are all viable for someone like Thief to make their way around with no one spotting them. Jakey's been a big problem too. The teleports, the smokes even. so good to hide these positions away from someone like Sim, who's been taken down so quick. TSM's making so many valuable changes right now into this composition. B-side's completely open. It is watched by Poised. Good for the anti-lurk. It's almost bait to allow Thief to make their way in.
Yeah, YFP need to reaffirm their position on this map and to not let TSM mount a comeback in the later rounds of the first half like they did on Lotus.
Right here.
YFP need to keep this lead. They're gonna shock dart the back corner, have Penny and Jake dash in. Now with the smokes in place, YFP will plant B, but this is such a tough site on the post plant with how many entries there are and how you can be pincered from multiple sides and how vulnerable you are to breach util. Fault line or aftershock, I think, from Poise and YFP. They try to concentrate on one side, and it just takes a swift Neon, the janitor on duty from Sim, to just eradicate
Thief?
YFP from the site.
Thief?
Your attendance is being called, Thief. He heard the spike get touched, and
What?
he was trying to take multiple with them. Either way, TSM will defuse.
Yeah, no matter what there, that was a winning round from TSM. Thief had the chance to do the funniest thing, but unfortunate there on that timing and not going for the spike immediately.
In the half.
5-6 though. Big changes once again made by TSM. YFP themselves now slowing down their gameplay so much more than we saw in the first map. Big question now is, ults again, more in the favor of TSM. 7, Hunter's Fury available. Sim so close to having, the overdrive. Realistically now, TSM can stick to the same game plan. Play unbelievably slow. Be more centered towards those retakes. Allow 7 to use Hunter's Fury either for the stall or anti-plant. And that'll buy more time for Sim to use that overdrive if they get an orb or kill here on A. To push in.
Good counter smoke from YFP when they saw that one way come out of TSM.
My ult is ready.
Just making GMD uncomfortable. It's pretty nice. Everyone's just barking at each other across the smokes.
Oh no. If
Why
this
are you
rotate
not
goes back
there?
over to A, they have to worry about Sim's op. They don't know that Sim has an operator.
But where is this Cypher util set up? Because YFP have to depend on Physic to deal with that. Meanwhile, YFP have really killed all noise and it made it look like they've left C.
It's a fake smoke though from Penny. TSM's well aware this is not an A take. Smokes go down. Still tripwire available. Not anti-jet. Keep that in mind. Penny will be able to get in for free, but his teammates know. He'll be isolated if this works.
Here's the exec off the recon, and GMD tries to stay alive on the site through the Hunter's Fury, through all the noise, and Penny tries to extend deep into the site like he did before. But these defensive anchors are just next level from TSM. We go 6-6 into the second half.
What a beautiful comeback from TSM, and I want to say I'm stand corrected. It was an anti-jet trip that allowed Jet to be the information gathered by 7 to bring out that Hunter's Fury. Yes, perfect example. To get the rest of their teammates as bait for the perfect angle of that ult to work out. Unbelievable. What a great setup from TSM. But now we swap sides. Here's the issue now. TSM have a great composition for their attack. Sim wasn't able to find a lot of impact on the defense, because Neon's not generally a defensive agent to shine. But on the attack, Lemon, with the help of a breach, this is scary news.
Sim will actually have a team with him when he wants to go crazy, but Penny will do his Sim impression with a closer take now. In a short is being a threat. TSM will just ignore it. They'll even be smoked off, so they'll drone through. And I think YFP are hearing this and don't want to be stuck on site, potentially getting hit by any fault lines or flashes. So good for YFP to give up that space, and Penny starts off on the right foot for YFP's retake. They got people in heaven, but it's smoked off, so YFP are going to wait out the smoke. This gives time for TSM to plant. Now TSM just have to play off of Poise's contact. They know where YFP are going to be coming from. They know they're not in heaven. And even Seven has the recon. I think he went to throw it and got caught. Either way, TSM are gonna back up each other through the retake of what YFP remain. And it just comes down to poise, and he gets it done.
A site, Haven, is one of the hardest sites in the game to retake. YFP came very close, but the 50-50s and the crossfire angles that you need to worry about as a defender, especially on pistol with very little utility to operate off of, is so tough to get past. The best advantage YFP was given was the 1v1s TSM were feeding into them. But when GMD started winning those fights and backing away, it became bad news for the squad. An A site, with that Neon, no Cypher available to stall their push, is going to be very tough for YFP to take control of.
Now with the weaponry advantage too from TSM, they could try to get some insurance rounds to extend this lead, and TSM are just reacting to the defense, and this is good. Now expecting Penny to have more backup. TSM, no, YFP are eager to win this series. They're going to see if YFP go for any other funny plays or TSM really commit to the site.
Stack up on A now. Gamble read by YFP, they'd be correct. They have all the info they need despite being a body down and weapon down.
Paranoia and Breach util available from YFP, and TSM, they can't even see, but they could shoot pretty well. It's 2 kills from them. TSM are still gonna leave the site because, man, YFP had all the time in the world to get a structure set up on A. TSM are gonna see if they can outrace them to C.
Look at this though, Will lagging behind, has a Vandal in play, no shields available. This will be tough for both players on YFP, very little HP to operate off of.
And Thief just goes on ahead, and like you said, Will behind. TSM with the weaponry advantage will get a 2-round heads up on YFP. But now that we go into a proper weapon round, will things be more even?
That's a great question. TSM, they won the round, yeah, but they barely did. Their economy, not good at all. 3 pistols in their name, 2 Vandals to work off of here, a full stack from YFP. If this is not YFP's round, the series needs to be over. They have the lack of shields, that's the only disadvantage this squad has.
Deploying drone.
Yeah, TSM not forcing as much as they did on Lotus, so this will be a tough round, but one for YFP to come back on, and great start from Penny, and even pairing up with Physic to at least get a trade. So YFP guarantee themselves a first blood. They have a pretty good setup for A. And TSM, last time they went to B, it wasn't pretty. It's just, there's so much to cover, there's so many angles to be for retakes, and there's not a lot of space to work with. But TSM have the smokes in place and the spike down too. So TSM gotta take fate in their own hands.
B's the best decision. You have a lot of close angles, great for pistols.
Oh yeah, and extending out. Sim is gonna take the initiative through the smoke. Oh jeez, he had 5 HP. Going 2 for 1 is everything for TSM. Now Thief. And a 1v3 has to cross, but can't look both ways at the same time. The TSM 9-6.
Well, I was speaking hyperbole before. I think YFP still has a very good chance, but the fact that you had 2 Vandals to start that round from TSM's end and still converted the round pretty handedly is not a great place to be in if you're YFP at all. You could not have asked for a better round on a silver platter. But TSM, they made a great decision by pivoting away from A site into B. Again, with only 3 pistols to work off of, they chose the site that would be the most difficult for any kind of long range weaponry, or non-short range, I suppose, weaponry to find value out of. The Sheriffs, the classics, whatever you have up close, had a fighting chance against those Vandals.
And the difference was that they weren't just sitting ducks on B, waiting for the other team to flash them, to break in, to throw util at them. TSM,
they were proactive.
They were proactive, and that's what we love from Sim. Like, going 2 for 1 and probably doing damage to the third really weakened and YFP's chances, but most importantly, told them where the retake was coming from.
I mean, that's the big difference between, like, you know, pro play, coordinated play, right? Is that your Neon can push ahead, including being breach stunned and find almost a triple kill. But in my, you know, silver 0 rank games, if my Neon did that, we would never hear the end of it. Seaside's the way to go, though. A gamble stack from YFP once more. These defensive ones, similar to Lotus, when they attempted to do it, was guessed wrong.
Nate's gonna play on top of the box this time, and it pays off. Usually he gets hit by breach util, and he has to get out of the site, and Jake has done his best to make this expensive for TSM, but he'll only go 1 for 1. TSM will get a quick plant, smokes at the top site. GMD may even creep out of that smoke, while the rest of TSM watch garage. YFP being as careful as they can be. They have no ults, and not the best weaponry too to go long range against TSM's post plant. Now TSM can play C long, and YFP are the ones that have to keep gap closing against them. And it's not easy, but Sheriffs can still pack a punch. Alright, the shock bolt is doing the work, but so is a Proto. Will jump out, and a Proto and Poise get the job done.
Dude, a Protoss had some of the cleanest aim I've seen in Challengers this series. Holy. That is multiple times now this series. What, 3, maybe 4 now? Where they've just had tremendous amounts of just individual, not even heroistic plays. He had a lot of backup behind him just in case, but really just being that driving force to winning rounds off of aim alone.
Series could end in TSM's favor pretty soon. And thankfully they showed up to their match. They did not take the smack talk from YFP seriously, because man, we would have missed out on a banger series.
You know, I am a believer in like karma and stuff, you know, like whatever mystical elements are like in the universe or whatever. Okay, you know what it is? It's not even karma, it's movie magic. Right? It's like Chekhov's gun. Like, you know, the big bully or whatever in the movie. It's like, oh, well, don't show up after school, you know? And it's like then they lose at the end of the movie. Like that happens all the time. But I don't know. Maybe that's a keg moment.
No, I get you. This does feel like a movie moment where, yeah, Tia, we'll have a technical pause. We'll make sure everybody's good to go. But 10-6, couple of rounds for TSM before they take the series. And in a kind of curious fashion, when TSM didn't have the best of stats on Lotus in terms of their past results, they haven't even played Haven this split. TSM are really surprising us, and it's almost like you poke the bear and you wonder what happens. Like you poke TSM and man, they just became animals on the field.
And both teams, too, are looking super confident, even at this point in this series. So it's not even like a big confidence diff. It's just TSM having these really nice reads and these hero moments, again, from individual players to really shine. YFP, they do have sparks of that. We've seen Jake, we've seen Thief do that. But unfortunately, it's been fewer and farther between than what TSM's been able to offer.
Turrets destroyed.
Split push, TSM, control of site.
Yeah, Jake's been holding the site. This time he'll have some help from his Killjoy, but Thief's util is set up for B, so it's not going to be helpful. TSM, they'll walk into YFP's trap, playing it deep into site. YFP try to stay as stoic as they can. And with Thief's help, it went a lot easier for YFP's defense.
Great turnaround from YFP, something that we've needed to see this entire half. The only round that they've won. They only got 7 rounds back on Lotus. Even though they're still losing this map, they are looking still much more comfortable than map 1. They are able to gamble Seaside very well, get that early read on TSM. The big factor of why they took so many defense rounds back on Lotus too. Now they're separated out completely, looking to go for these fast rotates as soon as possible, gearing up for an A-side play. Oh, Penny! Holy!
Penny will get out. Smokes behind them. 2 spotting 3 in mid, keeping the up. Sim is injured, but will not stop. Stem the bleeding. And TSM will creep up into C. There is KJ Util this time, the turret, but Thief is not alive, so TSM, that's less for them to worry about. It's Penny with the op. Where is that going to be coming from? TSM's offense has looked good because they take fate in their own hands. They'll write their own script and they'll extend out on the post plant, try and catch YFP before they throw Util out, and TSM holds them down. That's enough fire from YFP, a flawless one for TSM.
Fantastic decision making from TSM in the post plant, not to play down C main, not to rely on smokes to bypass away that spike, knowing full well Penny, operator in play, exactly where they want them to be, funneled down, an inoperable spike against the spike. Playing on site, despite all that utility, using that smoke to crush down YFP, make sure that op never saw the light of day. Very well played. Blade Storm available here, trying to keep that economy alive. Lockdown available from Thief, could very well be a retake situation on B site or C.
YFP being aggressive off the Blade Storm, going through mid, being as quiet as they can. TSM haven't made any moves either, especially with C smoked off. You're like wondering if Penny's gonna come through there or where Penny is. Because that's the big playmaker for YFP. And TSM can finally get some eyes, start clearing through mid, maybe even get into B. The KJ Util is at A, and Penny's knife is through the eyes of 7. And TSM will book it.
Crux of the info now for TSM are gone. They have to take A site control and fast. They have to stay on site. They can't rely on recon bolts.
Okay, well, Sim made it onto the site. Still have to clear the back of it. Good one way to check things out. No one having to worry about, so TSM just
Is
dodging
Will okay?
through the lockdown.
Will?
Cover going out.
Well,
Okay.
Sim's not okay. Poise is not either. The lockdown flushed out TSM. The defuse won't be stuck. TSM are trying to prevent it, and they can't. They just simply walked into the fire of YFP. What a lockdown from Thief.
And that was off the hands of, what, a 3v5? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll take that. Very well played from YFP again. You know, recompiling themselves, making sure that they can play these stellar retakes. Again, a very, very tough site at times to take back over. I would say probably the best advantage now, having the Killjoy over the Cypher on this map. You can't play anti-jet as well with the KJ, but you can bring out that lockdown and cover so much more area to stall these attacker plays. Lockdown worked out well on A site. Hopefully we'll reconnect or whatever soon. This is becoming a much closer match. So let me ask you, are we going to see map 3?
That's a tough one. I don't think so.
I know, right?
TSM
No?
are only like 2 rounds
man.
away. You can't choke this, right? Like, it all depends on the mental through like the technical pause and.
That's true. Yeah, I mean this is a tough call to make, right? Because look, if we are that omnipresent eye, we know that Will was not available. We saw that the majority of that retake was based off of an ult, 3v4, 3v5. Honestly, that's a pretty good sign for YFP. If they had that confidence to still take back A site in that fashion, I have a feeling that they have a pretty good confident read on what they want to accomplish and how they can take down TSM on these takes. I think at the very least this goes to overtime. But I think there's definitely a reality now where we do go to map 3.
Well, at least we got to see the full value, finally some impact out of a Killjoy on this map, because the setups have been changing, and the Killjoy isn't as flexible. There's not too much times that this defensive Killjoy has had a sight hit their direction. Sometimes the turret up is set up in B, and no, it's not a popular site too. I'd rather see Killjoy set up in Garage to try and lock down that power position, because C has been hit a lot. So YFP, they'll get a great round off the lockdown, but it's the neutral rounds that you got to maximize this Killjoy on.
I agree with the Garage plays. I think the turret would find a lot of value there. It's hard for the turret. Actually, it's hard for all of KJ's utility, though, in this match, because every time we see a site take, it is like we can't see anything, let alone the players being able to see anything. There's the neon walls, there's double smokes, quadruple smokes. Well, I guess, yeah, quadruple smokes with the double duelists. There's so much blocking that line of sight for the turret and the alarm bot that the chances of it finding that direct impact without being taken down by the Sova util is so much more limited to what a Proto can bring to the table.
Standing ahead.
All right. Quick take from TSM from the
bold.
shadows. GMD is gonna stick it. This is not the first time we've seen this, but behind him will be Thief. TSM are gonna just jump in Sim right into YFP. We're so patient, knowing how aggressive Sim can be. YFP just had to play reactively. And what a quick round that was in their favor.
I blinked and it was over. Yeah, these are kind of rounds where I feel like YFP truly thrive. They like the chaos. They like being able to take advantage of these really wild plays where TSM, as coordinated of a stack they can be, it's still hard to have that communication and have each other's back in those positions. A Proto's one off of having Neural Theft. Punch's Fury available now for Physic 2. Can easily try to stall a fast play like that again off the hands of the ult. But a Proto's going to go for the lurk here to try to fish out this ult to find a lot of macro info.
TSM said, let's do that again, except not into Penny this time.
They're going to wait for a Proto's ult.
Back a bit. Dial it back a bit. TSM finding that middle ground. Now being much more quiet, playing off the camera info and the drone. A lot of good vision here for TSM, and maybe figuring YFP, especially Penny, has been playing over at A lot. Now that mid and garage are smoked off, TSM don't have a lot of options besides to wait those out.
Right here.
Recon bull backside will reveal that nobody's there. Good positioning too. Paranoia available for Jake.
I'm out of here.
Okay, that shock will hurt Sim a bit, but
Fake
that's
A.
okay. He plays at his own pace. TSM will plant. And remember, TSM did well, relying on Sim to extend out of the site, but the Hunter's Fury delayed things a little bit for TSM and bought time for YP to get into position. Now TSM aren't so sure that if they pop out of these smokes, someone won't be waiting for them, but Poise will still hold that angle. And YFP just hope to get a peek from TSM. Now the smokes is cleared, Sim was just ready, and a Proto 2. TSM will go up to 12.
Now or never now for YFP. They have to get 3 more rounds to bring it to overtime to have a chance to go to map 3. Much more competitive map than we had seen in map 1 here. But they're falling behind once again. A big string of 7 rounds in a row that TSM was able to accomplish from the end of the first half into the second was so good for the team. Sim now overdrive available. Could be another fast A push again. No need to worry about Thieves lockdown. No real ults to have in YFP's position for the stall. They can easily go A side here.
It's all or nothing for YFP. All the Killjoy util at A. YFP, good default. No one taking any risks, going for flanks. It's TSM. They're gonna win or lose, playing their game. There's the fast lane, no stopping Sim, just slides right past all the KJ util, deals with it as Thief is smoked off, but once that goes down, he could catch TSM off. The shock bolt will pressure him back, but YFP gonna coordinate as best as they can to pinch in together. The smoke from heaven is clear, and Thief can't make an impact. And the rest of the retake from YFP didn't happen. They're tilted a little bit, but hey, the kills favor YFP. They're starting to be established. They have to deal with TSM in hell. Physic, that IGL, will command YFP to win if he has to. And it's a 2v2. Diffuse being tapped from YFP. And Will protect it as much as they can. They're trying to get a reaction out of Poised. Who's the better breach? Who's the better team? And it's YFP that will buy themselves another life.
A monumental round for YFP. As soon as I saw Thief go down, I thought it was over. Great working off of each other on an individual basis, making sure they can go for the trades. A very valuable 1v1 for Will to win out to, keeping YFP alive in this series. 2 more rounds now. Overtime still a possibility. Buys from TSM not looking great. Overdrive expended last round, not available anymore. Boys is 2 away, though, from getting that Rolling Thunder. It would be good to maybe gather an ult here, or at least an orb, I should say, on B. Because that can't be guaranteed. B, with the weaponry TSM have, they love to go for B site, just to make sure they can even out the weaponry.
Sim is a shotgun, and TSM only have 2 rifles. See what Magic Sim can do, and try to get a stun. He will go down. TSM get a trade, and they go into B. They have GMD on top of the box too, so we'll be exposed. We'll have great information over the smokes, and a drone will reveal at least one into the corner. This is a tough spot for YFP to be in. They'll try and pitch in from multiple angles through the smoke. TSM kicks him. And then YFP could see themselves 6 feet under. It all depends on Penny and Physic. And it's done! TSM take the series!
Fantastic work from TSM. Never had a doubtful round in mind at all. They always had a plan and a backup plan in mind, and when it didn't work, they had a way to adjust at a level the YFP struggled to keep up with.
I love a Proto's grin there. Holy cow. What a series that guy had. Robbing the other team from a couple of rounds, just all around TSM. They said they were told not to show up for this match, and they showed up big time, Dryad.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what isn't meant to happen. If you're talking on social media, you need to back it up with the match result, and this time is the way up to TSM in a 2-0. I feel like I was expecting this to go map 3 before we saw all the talk and all the head-to-heads between the two in the past. But you see a TSM that knows how to come back, and a team that knows how to work out around the momentum. We saw in map 1, we see in map 2 as well. A couple rounds, 3-4 rounds that you get in a row, and that's enough to realize, you know, it's only a matter of time. It's only 1 round to close it out, and you know, Lemon, I'm glad that you're able to make it happen.
Yeah, this was such a fun match. We got to see the difference between the Jet and the Neon as the primary duelist, and the KJ and the Cypher, and kind of the rock paper scissors that was going on, and how they were able to react to not only the setups and adapt to the further rounds, but also the tilt factor of a couple of rounds escaping YFP through just really sick clutch plays from TSM.
It's something that we were seeing constantly, Keg. It not only came down to the general gameplay of TSM in this map and showing us why they wanted to take YFP to this map, but also the firepower. It was closing out so many of those rounds for them.
7 of Proto were just demons in the server this series. We had seen so many 4Ks and just so many impactful rounds based off of, like you said, just their raw aim and positioning in of itself.
That's not something that is easy to do as well when you're down in a round and it's a 1v3, it's a 1v4, 1v2, no matter what. Just always thinking that it's winnable, and I respect that so much for TSM because you see other teams that, oh, it's a 2v4, we're saving, and you see this constantly for a lot of the teams. So TSM fully confident that they knew they were gonna be able to win this Lemon.
It just YFP were close to mounting that comeback for sure, and that's why I told Keg, like, I don't think this is going to map 3 because TSM only needed, what, like 2 to 3 rounds? So eventually, like, TSM were going to either get like a weaponry advantage or an ult advantage, and it was going to go that way. But yeah, great shout out to the Proto MVP for everything he did. And kind of surprising that YFP had way more first kills and the scoreline went with this way, but at least this was a much better map for YFP compared to Lotus.
Just to circle back really quick, you're absolutely right. Like, TSM, all they needed was like a small advantage to win out the series, but the one round where they closed it out was the round where they had no advantages at all. They had, what, 2, maybe 3 rifles to work with, but they made the right decision to be at the right place at the right time to shut down YFP, who had a full arsenal.
And so all credits to Penny as well. Didn't have the best map, number 1, and it was fighting demons to try to close this one out. It doesn't really work out, but I'd love to see Penny being that force on the side of YFP for whatever is going to be the future and whatever the future holds for this team, honestly. And now on the other side, when we think of TSM, we talked about how they were doing in the season. We talked about them losing to Oxygen, to Fluffy Hammers, to Moist, all those stronger teams. And it feels to me, Lemon, that now with this win, they set themselves in the upper side of the table.
Yeah, TSM, I'm sure, get a lot more respect for winning against YFP because YFP were higher in the standings, actually, than than TSM, because YFP have been beating everyone else but the top 2 teams that we mentioned on the pre-show. So like I said, there was more to this game than I think strats, compositions. There's a mental factor where YFP got rounds taken away from them where they would have great util. Like Keg and I were talking about how good rounds were out of YFP that they would still lose. That's why they have so many first bloods, way more than TSM, and they still lost the game. It's what you do in these 5v4s. And sometimes YFP would not always be synced up in the best of ways. And I think that's just trying to keep up and to try and predict what Sim is going to do on the Neon, because that's how you have to play against a Neon, because they're so quick. If you're caught off guard by Sim, it's over. And YP did a good job of shutting down Sim in the first half, but then Sim got let loose on offense.
And we got the chance to see the 2 versions of Neon compositions for TSM, and one where Sim was being so explosive, getting so many of the first kills in the map of Lotus, and even getting enough rounds on the defense because of these ideas. But then when you see a map of Haven where, yeah, Sim has a lot of credit on the first kills and everything that he's been able to get, but you see it a little bit more balanced, Keg.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit more balance, and I think a lot of that came down to Sim recognizing in terms of where he existed in the maps. We saw it early on both maps where, especially on the defense, he would kind of push out a little bit, find those contact plays, get killed instantly, and then kind of cost the round for his team. But as time went on, he himself would adjust, I think more than any player in the server, and dial himself back to make sure he could be a valuable asset for his team.
And find themselves in weird positions too. You see even towards that the last couple rounds is poised, holding and waiting for Penny to swing and try to go for this retake that doesn't end up working out. It's just a work for TSM that leaves me with hopes of what is gonna be playoffs for a lot of these teams. And this is what I talked about yesterday. Lemon, I talked about wanting to see teams be and get these convincing wins, these 2-0s as we approach playoffs. You want to have 1-2 teams that are the favorite and nobody can take them down.
Yeah, now you know the strat book out of TSM on Haven especially, where nothing crazy besides the Neon that you pointed out, Triad, but I also wanted to just give a shout out to Penny of just how many first bloods they got, how good they looked with the op, and how much closer YFP looked to TSM once the economy was more stable, more balanced, and less force bias. But I still thought this was a great match.
It was really good. It was a good 2-0 for TSM to get and continue the win streak against YFP. But now we have the post-match interview ready. Let's jump into it, because this time around we got 7 to talk about what this win has been. And 7, first of all, congratulations. I want to talk a little bit about what it was today. So first of all, in social media, we saw some of your teammates and some of the YFP players kind of having some banter going on. Is this real banter? Is this just you guys are friends and it was just something to say for the socials?
I think it's just friendly banter. I mean, I don't know Jakey personally. I don't know if any of my teammates do, but you know, it makes things interesting. It gives us like more motivation to play. I think definitely fueled us a little bit having him say that stuff to us online. But no, it was mostly friendly banter.
Yeah, it looks good because you get the 2-0 as well. So everybody talking, it needs to be quiet. I think I saw Jake saying that towards the end. But also talking about what has been this whole season, you have some ups and downs. You've lost against some big teams and you've gotten the wins that were expected. I think we had the question on how this match was going to go. And I think for you guys it was also important to get as many wins as you can on the board before playoffs. What was the preparation for this last match of the season?
Yeah, so like you said, overall our season's been kind of rough, but I think these last 2 weeks that we've definitely put in a lot of effort. We have, we're all giving it our 100%, and that's really important for us because I'm not too sure about like the math and stuff, but I think this secures us with playoffs. I'm not too sure. So it was a really important match for us. We just came prepared. We really locked in, and we showed it.
What about that map of Haven that we didn't really get the chance to see from you guys before, and you were playing with this composition with the Neon? What are the ideas when this not new map, but the map that we know so well is coming back and you can play whatever composition works for you?
I think most of my teammates are really comfortable with Haven. They all like the map. I know Fage was a really good Haven team back when they had Poised. I know Morse had also really good ideas back when he used to run the Viper. So I think we kind of just made the comp that fit our style the best and like, you know, suited our roles the best. I got put on Sova, which I'm not like obviously I haven't played this agent as much. So it was definitely a learning step for me that I had to take. But I think these like roles around right now work the best in this comp that we're on. It's definitely the best for us.
And I like that you're talking about the roles because we've seen you throughout your career play a bunch of different agents. I really like seeing you on the Gecko. I feel like you always look amazing on the Gecko. You're always supporting your teammates and setting them up for success. But when it comes to these roles and when it comes to a team like it is TSM that is so flexible, how does this decision go? Is it one person that, okay, we're going to make sure this one person is comfortable and everybody working around it? Or how does it work?
I don't really think we have that. I think most of our, like I said, most of our teams are really flexible. If I had to pick one of my players that like I think we kind of build around, it's definitely Sim. I know he has a lot of great ideas and he has a good idea of how to play the game and how he wants to be played. So we definitely let him do his own thing. We work around it, and we kind of all fit our roles in to help that.
Okay, and the last question that I have for you, like you said, we don't know exactly how the table is going to look for playoffs, but is there a team that you would like to face or maybe you take a win against that you haven't been able to do before?
Honestly, all of them. I don't think like there's one team that I want to play the most. I just really kind of want to be like every team and just prove to like not only like other people but myself especially that we are better than these other teams.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the evolution. We've seen the wins in the individual plays from your team today. You guys look amazing with a 2-0 against YFP. But so congratulations on this win. This is everything that we have for the post-match interview. Seven, thank you for joining me. And now I get the chance to bring back our analysts to close out the day because, yeah, for those who missed it towards the beginning of the show, we only have one match today. There's going to be 3 matches tomorrow. But this YFP and TSM, although I expected it to go 3 maps, I think TSM showed us exactly what I wanted to see, Keg.
Yeah, I mean, look, absolutely. TSM on both a big picture and small picture scale looked fantastic. They looked prepared. And as Seven said, I think some of the comments made on social media may have helped a little bit kind of fuel that fire.
Yeah, like he said, like it fueled them and motivated them. And I thought it was more serious than it was, I guess. And I like how Seven was like, I don't know anything about that. But and I like how Seven like was also honest about how uncomfortable he was on the agent. And because I remember pointing out like before the match, the last time we saw Seven, he was like on Killjoy at the time. It was like a whole different team. So no one seemed uncomfortable. He pointed out that no one was uncomfortable, but a lot of good ideas are coming from Sim, and look how that paid off. Yeah, some ideas didn't work out, but it was them just being composed through the highs and the lows. That's what makes TSM such a fun team.
Yeah, they get to play a bunch of different things, and like you said, Lemon played different agents, played different compositions that ends up working for them, especially for the last week of the regular season with this 2-0. So we're right in the middle of the week, right in the middle of the matches. We've seen 3 matches. We got 3 matches left. Let's take a look at the schedule for those 3 matches that already happened between yesterday and today, and what is going to be tomorrow, especially because just to clarify it once again, tomorrow we're going to have 3 matches. 2 are going to be here on the broadcast on the same channel that you're watching right now, and the other one is going to happen at 5:30 Eastern time at the Night Arena Twitch channel. So make sure you guys tune in for that match that is going to happen kind of right in between, and you don't want to miss that one because there's 2 teams that really need those wins, Keg.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you, I thought today was Monday. I didn't realize it was the middle of the week. But no, look, we have nothing but bangers coming out tomorrow, right? Because these are going to be all very impactful and important games to see where everyone falls inside of Challengers thus far. And look, to be honest with you, I think the most interesting matches I'm looking forward to seeing are probably Core and Winthrop, just because I think there's still more of the more wild cards in the entire Challengers pool. But honestly, every single one of these matches is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, there's like a theme to all these matches. There's Core and Winthrop who are at the bottom of the standings. They're fighting to prevent themselves from being relegated. You have Moist Shopify versus M80, 2 teams who are well respected or still trying to get more respect, and M80 definitely the one to watch. And Blaine and Dope Bros, who have fought through relegation themselves and are trying to gather more reputation and see who is the stronger team in that regard. But it's a good schedule.
Yeah, for Blin and Dobras, it is exactly what you said. They almost, for Dobras at least, they almost got relegated. They were able to win those matches towards the end to make sure that they didn't get relegated, and the promoted team was Blin. So we get to see all these big matches towards the end, and of course they had to be the last day of the regular season. We get the most exciting matches, and especially as the playoffs sets up and we figure out who's going to be the first seed, second seed, and how everything else is going to shape up, as we've been talking about for what is not only playoffs but Ascension, to figure out if and who is going to be the representative for North America when that time comes in Monterrey. But this is everything that we have today with that one match for the TSM win. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you Lemon, and thank you Keg for joining me on the desk as well. We'll see you tomorrow for the 3 matches and the last day of the regular season.
One enemy remaining. Last player standing. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Standing. No switch. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Clutch. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
My ultimate.
No target. One enemy remaining. Enemy remaining. Flawless. Give me those stuff. One enemy remaining.
Face.